Hello, how are you? I'm a little tired. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today, it is April 20th, 2023. It's on Thursday and sunny outside. How are you spending Thursday? When I was a university student, I used to set the schedule for Thursday easy in a week. I used to schedule the Thursday easily. I used to make the amount of the duty for Thursday light. I used to make the amount of duty for Thursday light. And the scheduling was good. I still like to make the amount of duty on Thursday light. I still like to make the amount of duty on Thursday light. Which faculty did you major in? 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 Recently, I found a faculty who was in charge of my laboratory on the internet, and I listened to his lecture. Faculty. How many faculty members are there in your university? The lecture of the faculty member was always crowded with students, which was so popular. Some lectures are led by the faculty member. The popular faculty member was always packed with students. Although some particular lectures were very vacant, very unpopular. Some lectures led by the popular faculty member, were very popular among students. The lectures were always filled with students. The lectures led by the famous and popular faculty member was soon filled with the registration. Soon after the start of the registration. In the resume, I needed to fill out my background. Could you tell me your background? Could you tell me your career you have done ever? Could you explain your background you have done ever? And what of the careers will be advantage to us, to our entity? Can I know, could you tell me the background you have done so far, and which of the backgrounds will be effective and helpful for our entity if you start to work here? Background information. As thanks to the background information, I could easier understand of the listening section. Although I couldn't understand, I couldn't make heads or tails of the listening 100% perfectly. Background information is needed to answer some questions, even in English. Background information is often needed to answer some questions. Background information about Japanese culture is needed to pass examination. Not only English, but also Japanese culture needed to be known. Background information, background information, background information, background information, background information, background information, background. I was told to fill out my background in the cover letter. I was asked to fill in my background that I have ever done as experiences. I was asked to fill in background of my career. I was asked to fill out my careers. I was asked to fill in my background in the resume. The detectives predict that there are 2 or 3 more criminals background behind the incidents. Do you have the background information about mathematics? Do you have the background information about semiconductor? Background information. Do you have the background information about semiconductor? Without background information about Japanese culture, you cannot pass examination. Not only English skill, but also you need a Japanese culture. Background information regarding Japanese culture. Not only English seeker, not only English seeker, but also the background information regarding Japanese culture you need to know in order to pass examination. So as to pass examination. Background information, 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 background information. I was asked to fill in my background that I have ever done in the resume. Background is one of the things you can show off in the resume, which will appeal to the panel. Excuse me, I'd like to exchange my Japanese yen for US dollars. Excuse me, I'm searching for the money exchange place which has a good rate. Money exchange available here. Excuse me, I'm searching for a place where I can exchange my Japanese yen for US dollar. Exchange for Japanese yen. Exchange Japanese yen for US dollar. Exchange. Exchange trading card for the one of my friends. I used to exchange trading card with those of my friends. I used to exchange my trading cards with those of my friends. I used to exchange my trading cards with those of my friends. Are you interested in foreign currency, money exchange, getting profit by money exchange? Japanese yen is weak now regarding the money exchange. In the past, in Japan, people used to exchange rice for other things. People in the past in Japan used to exchange rice for other things. I wish I could exchange my hardships for happiness. I wish I could exchange my hardships I have ever experienced for happiness. I wish I could exchange the hardships predicaments I have ever experienced for a good deal of money, a great deal of money. How dare you could exchange the precious card for only 10,000 yen. It is said it worth 1 million yen at least. Do you know a place where I can exchange for US dollars? Do you know a place nearby where my Japanese yen exchange? Money exchange, money exchange, money exchange, money exchange, money exchange machine, money exchange machine. Is there a money exchange machine in the shopping street, in the game center? Is there an exchange machine to change my paper note into coins? Is there a money exchange machine to coins, from paper to coins? Is there a money exchange machine from my paper currency to coins? I had a chance to exchange franc opinions with old classmates of mine. I had a chance to exchange opinions with the same with the coworkers working in the same industry. I had a chance to exchange opinions with the workers who are working in the same industry in a different department company. I exchanged frank opinions with those working in the same industry. Do you have a time to exchange frank opinions with me? I'd like to have a word privately with you. I'd like to have a word. I'd like to have a word privately with you. I'd like to have a privately have a word. I'd like to have a word privately with you. I'd like to have a word privately. Privately. I'd like to have a word. I'd like to have a word privately. I'd like to have a word privately with you. Exchange. Exchange. Money exchange machine. Is there a money exchange machine in this shopping mall? I'd like to exchange my Japanese yen for US dollar. Is there a money exchange machine in this hotel or nearby? I'd like to exchange my Japanese yen for US dollar. We exchanged brief opinions at the meeting, at the banquet, at the farewell party, at the forget the year party, at the wedding ceremony. We had a brief exchange. We had exchanged briefly. We exchanged brief opinions. We exchanged our opinions briefly. We exchanged our opinions briefly at banquet hall. How dare you could exchange? How dare you could exchange the fancy digital camera for only 10,000 yen. The camera is worth 1 million yen at least. Nice to meet you. I am the instructor instructing your swimming lesson today. Thank you very much. There are some things I want you to promise for your safety. See to it that you do not go beyond the security line. Over there you can see the rope. I was instructed by the veteran guide who has been working for the company for more than 20 years. I was instructed by the veteran guide. I was instructed by the veteran guide in the course. We were instructed to be quiet during the class, but I don't know how the classes are conducted in school, especially in elementary school. When I was a junior high school or high school student, we were educated, instructed to be quiet during the class and to listen to the teachers explaining carefully. I don't feel becoming a character who instruct others in a group. I prefer to work alone. I don't feel like wanting to be a leader instructing others in a group or a team. I don't feel like becoming a leader who instructs others to do something in a group or team. I don't feel like becoming a leader who instructs others to do something in a team or a group. Instruction. Please read the instructions carefully before you start the assembly, okay? Instruction. Please read the instructions carefully before you start assembly. You start assembling, okay? Instruction, 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 instruction. If you had read the instructions carefully, the accident would never have happened. If you had read the instructions carefully, such a small mistake would not have happened. Do you still remember the name of the principal of the elementary school? Yes. When I was hospitalized at the hospital when I was an elementary school student, the principal of the school visited me and gave me a pack of orange as present. He told me he told me that he was not sure the orange was good or not because he bought the orange in the convenience store in the hospital. English study is a principal routine in my life. What is the principal duty in your life? What is the principal routine daily in your life? In your daily life, what is the principal routine in a day for you? What is the principal routine? Principal routine in your day. In a day. What is the principal routine? 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 What is the principal routine in a day? Principal. The principal cities. Which do you prefer to live? Principal cities or countrysides? Which do you prefer to live? Which prefer to live in? Principal cities such as Tokyo, Osaka, or countryside? I principally have a bulk shopping at once in order to lessen the number of shopping in a week. I principally have a bulk shop in order to decrease the number of shoppings in a week or in a month. Principally. The comedian principally explains himself as a karate fighter. The comedian principally describes his occupation as karate fighter. The comedian principally describes his profession as karate fighter. Principally. I principally finish my lunch within 5 minutes and we start working on my duty soon after with a cup of coffee. Principally. The thing I do principally as soon as I get home is to wash my hands and decontaminate my hands with the decontaminator. The thing we should do principally in the first place after getting home is to wash our hands. Principally. Tourist spots are principally crowded on weekends, but some tourist spots are exceptions. I was frequently scolded by my teachers and parents, and even someone in the society. I was often frequently scolded by my teachers, parents, relatives, cousins, and those in the society when I was a kid. I saw a little girl scolded by her mother. I saw a little girl being scolded by her mother. I was often scolded for ignoring studying. I was often scolded for not doing my homeworks. I was often scolded for not doing homeworks. Scolding might affect reversely in education, but it depends on the personality of the kids or people. Scolding will affect differently depending on the people. Scolding. Scolding might affect battery. Scolding might affect battery. Scolding might have effect battery on some people. Scolding might have affect battery on some people. Scolding might have an effect on someone battery. Scolding might have battery effect on some people. Scolding might have an effect battery on some people. Scolding might have an effect battery on some people. I used to be more reckless when I was in my teens. I was more reckless when I was in my teens. Reckless. I think we should be bold and reckless sometimes to go for it. We should be bold and reckless sometimes to go for it because the chance might not come back again. The chance might not come out again. Reckless. Reckless challenge. Only reckless challenge might lead to breakthrough. Only reckless challenge might lead to breakthrough. Only reckless challenges may lead us to breakthrough. Recklessly. Recklessly. When I was in my teens, I was dreaming of becoming a Hollywood star recklessly. I was dreaming of becoming a Hollywood star recklessly. Did you also try to become a Hollywood star recklessly? Recklessly. 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 Trying to think recklessly without changing anything will make no difference. Changing the formation in the trial will make a difference. I remember walking anywhere recklessly during the depression. Recklessly. Recklessly. I remember recklessly investing in the gambling, trying to get back the loss, trying to get the money I lost, without thinking at all. I remember recklessly investing in the gambling, trying to get back the money I lost. It is no use persuading him. He is determined. He has been determined to study abroad. It is no use persuading him. It is no use convincing him. It is no use convincing him to stop going abroad. He has been determined. It is no use persuading him to stop going abroad. He has been determined. It is no good convincing him to stop going abroad. He has been determined. It is no use brushing your teeth so perfectly only today. Daily care is very important, essential. It is no use studying a lot only today for the examination in order to get perfect score. The examination is not as easy as you think. Please see to it that you close all of the doors and windows and turn off the switches when you leave the office at last, okay? I usually definitely say to it that I'm prepared enough before my performance, examination, and so on. Because I'm super nervous. Since I'm super nervous and very sensitive, I usually definitely say to it that I'm prepared enough with enough preparation before exams, performance, and so on. Please say to it that you have arrived at the international airport at least 2 hours before the departure. So take that in mind when you leave your hotel. Please say to it that you arrive at the international airport at least 2 hours before the departure. Please say to it that you arrive at the destination. You arrive at the international airport at least 2 hours before the departure. Okay? Departure. Departure. The enforcement of the new rule will change the society drastically, tremendously, drastically, thoroughly. Enforcement of the new rule, enforcement of the perfect day offs on Saturdays and Sundays. The enforcement of perfect holidays, day offs on Saturdays and Sundays. The enforcement of the forceful search will be not known to the citizens. The enforcement of the new rule was taken back by the protest from the citizens. The enforcement of the new law was retrieved by strong protest from citizens. The project was enforced as scheduled. The event was enforced as scheduled, on schedule, in schedule, on schedule. The forceful search in the criminal's house was enforced last night. The forceful search for other related goods, merchandises related to the incident was enforced. Enforce. The newly enacted bill will be enforced as early as next month. The newly enacted bill will be enforced. The newly enacted law will be enforced as early as next month. The rule by Tokugawa shogunate lasted longest in the history. The rule by Tokugawa shogunate lasted the longest in the Japanese history. There might be many rules which should be done away with. There might be many obsolete rules which should be done away with, abolished. The rule by Tokugawa shogunate came to an end in the mid-19th century. The rule by Edo government was brought to an end in the mid-19th century. The judge ruled that the criminal was to pay 1 million yen to the victim. The judge ruled that the criminal had to pay 1 million yen to the victim. The government ruled that the state of emergency was extended over the next week. The government ruled that the state of emergency would be extended over the next weekend for safety, for more firm safety, solid safety, certain safety. exact safety. And government ruled over the region more than 200 years. Tokugawa shogunate ruled over Japan for more than 200 years. The judge ruled. The judge ruled that the criminal had to pay 500,000 yen to the victim. The judge ruled that the criminal had to pay 500,000 yen to the victim. The judge ruled that the defendant had to pay 400,000 yen to the plaintiff. The judge ruled that the incident created by the criminal. The judge ruled that the criminal had to pay 1 million yen to the victim. The judge ruled that the criminal was responsible for paying 1 million yen to the victim. The judge had just ruled that the defendant is responsible for paying 1 million yen to the victim for the inconvenience. The judge seems to rule today. The judge is expected to rule today. The judge is expected to rule as early as this month. The Supreme Court is expected to rule as early as tomorrow, as early as this month. The Supreme Court is predicted to make a decision, rule, as early as this month. The High Court is expected to rule as early as tomorrow. The High Court is expected to rule as early as this year. The High Court is expected to rule as early as this month. As early as this month. As early as this month. The High Court is expected to rule as early as this month. The High Court is expected to rule as early as tomorrow. The person A has been ruling over the region for more than 10 years. The person X has been ruling over the mountain for more than 10 years. Tokugawa shogunate ruled over Japan for more than 200 years. Who is the ruler of the company? Who is the de facto ruler of the company? ruler of the company, ruler of the region, ruler, de facto ruler of the company, de facto ruler of the company, virtual ruler, virtual ruler, virtual ruler of the company, virtual ruler of the economy, virtual ruler of the entity, virtual ruler of the entity, virtual ruler of the entity, virtual ruler, 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 ruler of the association, ruler of lawmaking, ruler of decision making. There are ruling and opposition party, ruling party and opposition party. The party consisting of more than half will administrate as ruling party. Ruling party. Ruling school often win the championship. Ruling team of the school always winning the championship for 10 consecutive years. 10 successive years. 10 successive years. 10 successive years. 10 successive years. Many citizens raised against the ruling. Many citizens raised complaints against the ruling by the judge. Many citizens raised complaints against the ruling by the judge. Many citizens raised complaints, concerns against the ruling by the judge. Unfair ruling. Many citizens demonstrated against the ruling by the judge. Many citizens went out for the demonstration against the ruling by the judge. The most ruling hypothesis is kinky capital. The most ruling hypothesis, the most ruling theory of the origin of the universe. The most ruling theory of the start of the universe is said to be the Big Bang. There are virtually ruling companies, de facto ruling companies, monopolizing the profits. Ruling, 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 ruling. Ruling party. Ruling. Liberal Democratic Party is the ruling party of Japan right now. Liberal Democratic Party. Liberal Democratic Party is supported by many Japanese. The current ruling party of Japan is the Liberal Democratic Party. Liberal Democratic Party is supported by many Japanese. Liberal Democratic Party is backed up many Japanese. There are always a couple of people who like to dictate and hate to be dictated by others. Which do you prefer? Dictate others or being dictated? Which do you prefer? Dictate others to do something or being dictated by someone to do something? I was dictated to finish the tasks by today. Are you waiting for someone to dictate to you? Some people are always waiting for someone to dictate them to do something, and they never take action from themselves. Some employees or students never take an action until they are dictated by their boss. The law dictates that people under the age of 20 cannot drink alcoholic beverages nor smoke a cigarette. The guideline dictates that those with the qualification is exempt for taking the subject. The guideline dictates that the participants who has a qualification of 18 grade 1 is exempt from taking the English examination of the national examination for becoming a national government licensed guide interpreter. Dictate. My boss dictated that we had to work overtime today. My boss dictated that we had to work overtime yesterday. Who dictated that? 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 All of the staffs in the store are dictated to decline discounting on the prices more than the certain prices. All of the staffs in the store are dictated not to discount on the prices shown on the price tag. All of the staff is working in the store are dictated not to price down, discount more than 1,000 yen. I used to use a strategy to dictate what I have listened from the conversation to improve my listening skill, but it was not efficient for me, so I soon quit the strategy. I once used the strategy as a strategy of dictation to improve my listening skill, and I wrote down I heard from the conversation on the notebook, but which turned out to be inefficient for me. So I soon quit the strategy. Anyone who defies the dictate is subject to be forced to go out of the room. Anyone who defies the policy or rules decided by the boss will be fired. No one could defy the decisions made by the boss in the department because everybody is afraid of the boss and everybody is afraid of being fired, laid off, and so on. No one is courageous enough to defy the decisions made by the boss. Nobody in this department dares to defy the dictates made by the boss. Have you ever used the strategy of dictation to improve your listening skill? And did it work? Or was it also inefficient for you, as well as me? Are you waiting for the decision from your boss? Do you always wait for your boss to dictate you to do something, or do you take an action from yourself? Some employees or students are waiting for dictation from teachers or bosses and they never take an action from themselves. Dictation. Are you waiting for the dictation from your travel agency? Are you waiting for the dictation from your company? Are you waiting for the dictation from your boss? You don't know what to do. You don't know how to deal with the situation. You don't know how to cope with the situation. Dictation. I used to use the strategy of dictation and wrote down what I heard from the conversation on the notebook, but it turned out to be inefficient for me. It proved to be inefficient for me. inefficient for me. It turned out to be 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 inefficient for me. Are you always waiting for the dictation from your boss or teacher? Or do you take an action from yourself? Take a legal action. Sorry, I couldn't wait for the dictation from my boss. It was in such a emergency, so I coped with the situation on my own, from my point of view, from my viewpoint. In the end, it went well. There were always a couple of students, dictators, who monopolized the school grounds and always played with balls. And they never let us play in the grounds. There were always a couple of dictators who always monopolized school grounds in the school, and they never let us play in the grounds. Dictator. A virtual dictator of the profits in the company. A virtual de facto dictator of the profits. Dictator. Dictator who has all the rights. Dictator with all of the rights, including judiciary, administration, and lawmaking, and military. Dictatorship. Dictator. Dictator with all of the rights. Dictator who has the rights to decide anything in the entity. Who is the dictator of the entity? The dictatorship of the entity collapsed. The dictatorship his dictatorship in the company came to an end with the corruption. His dictatorship in the company was brought to an end with the corruption. It came to light that the dictator was. It came to light that the dictator had been illegally hiding the profits. They are year by year. The dictatorship of the CEO of the company was brought to an end. It came to light that the dictator of the company had been stealing the secret profits in order to avoid paying tax, income tax. Dictatorship. The customer was expelled out of the shop because he was making a fuss and affecting other customers. The customer was expelled out of the restaurant because he was making a fuss and bothering other customers. Expel. Those who cannot follow the rules are subject to be expelled. Those who cannot follow the rules are subject to being expelled. The team member was expelled out of the team because he violated the rule. One member was excluded, ruled out, left out, expelled from the team for violating the rule. The member was expelled from the team for intruding on the rule, violating the rule for 3 consecutive times, for 3 successive times. The member was expelled from the team for violating the rules for 3 consecutive days, for 3 continuous times, for 3 successive times. Okay, I will finish speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you.